Welcome to the Successful Thinking Podcast, where I will share with you the elements for a successful thinking process and we'll talk to people who have a successful thinking mindset. YHELLO! How are you guys? Today, I'll be talking about the importance of planning and how it increases your chances of succeeding in the thinking process. I'll also talk about overthinking and understanding that sometimes it is crucial not to think at all. So let's start with planning. When we create a plan, we create a detailed proposal for doing or achieving something. For example, when you go on a trip, we make a plan. We think on the days we want to travel for how long, with the destination we want to explore, places we want to visit, experiences we want to live, etc. So planning means we are structuring our thinking process in a way to anticipate the unexpected and so control the reality that we are facing. The example of the trip, when we are planning a trip, it allows us, for example, to control the places where I will sleep. Because it's important, I need to understand where I'm going to sleep when I'm traveling. So for example, that brings me comfort. And so I plan in advance to somehow become familiar to the place. So be less worried, less afraid. And so I can also think on which places I want to visit and to look in advance. That way it does not become something that unexpected. And plans can be done in everything, personal lives or professional lives. And so why do we plan? We plan because we want to avoid mistakes. We want to avoid errors. It does not always mean that we need to create a master plan, a big plan. No. For example, if someone asks you for a direction, where can I find this restaurant? Well, if I don't know, I will just say I don't know. But if I know, my brain will start automatically to think on different routes, based of course on my experience and my knowledge of the location. And then I will tell the other person what's the best way to go there. So during this process, without realizing, our mind started to create a plan, started to structure our thoughts. Okay, I will go this way, then that way, then that way. And then we share that plan with the person. You need to go follow this path, go then to the left and then to the right. And the more complex scenario is when, for example, we need to, to plan a wedding, to plan an event, to plan a conference. So that becomes way more complex. There's way more things to think about it. And there's even a situation where planning happens at the same time of the action. For example, the same time as we are talking is a job interview. When someone asks me, can you give me an example where you succeed or where you had to manage whatever the question is, automatically I start to think on, okay, let me look back in my previous experience when that happened. What can I say? What can I should not say? And as soon as we somehow have a plan, we start talking. And as soon as we start talking, at the same time our brain is adjusting to the plan and going and say, now I have to focus this on that. So we start to do two things at the same time. That just shows that our brain is incredible. And that's what I want to share here. We need to understand how to use our brain to its maximum potential, to develop more our thoughts, or can we structure our thoughts to have a successful thinking process. So it's important to understand that depending on the situation we are facing, we need to structure more or less our thinking process. So in other words, to make a simple plan or a more complex plan. A practical example that I will also like to share with you about a very simple plan that I experienced this process was, for example, when I was a volunteer in a students' organization. So our job was to help exchange students that were moving from abroad. Of course, we then organized trips, events, parties, and one night I was helping the team to organize a party. And so all the students were at the entrance of the club. It was a big line, and we realized, we are wasting a lot of time in the line. We need to be focused inside to make the party inside. But people were taking a lot of time to get inside. And so I went to the team and said, can I help you with something? And so one of my colleagues said, no, people are taking a long time because security is asking for them to show the card. And in this case, we have a card for the students to be able to go to our parties for free. And those who did not had to pay. And so the students were taking a long time to take the card out of the bags and to show to security. And so I went from the beginning, starting the line in the queue, and I started to tell people, please prepare your card, carry a card to show security, and some of them already had a card in hand. And instead of going until the end of the line to continue with this, I stopped. And for me it was important to stop and realize this is not the case. I'm not solving the problem. And so I had to structure my thinking process. And to structure your thinking process is you need to start making questions to yourself. So what's the problem here? Who is involved in this situation? Am I the only person that can solve this? Do I need help? Why do I need to do? So this is how you structure it. So I had to realize, okay, what's the problem? The queue is very long. What am I doing? I'm doing what I was told to do, to help people to ask for the cards. But apparently this is not the problem. So what can I do? And this few seconds, sometimes 1 minute is important to stop and to think. But I decided to do, okay, I don't know what I have to do to solve this, so let me go back to the beginning. But instead of go to my colleague, I went directly to the security team and say, hey guys, why is it taking so long to have people get inside the club? And then they told me, people are trying to get inside the club with bottles or drinks. Because they were doing a botellon before going to the party. So they were drinking before, and now they have a little bit more of the drink and they are trying to get the drink inside. And that's not possible, that's not allowed. So they are asking people to take the drink, maybe drink it and then take it. So that's what making the line go a long time. And then I said, oh, okay. So then I restarted the process and I went to go to people and ask them, do you guys have any drinks with you? And right away people start to open the bags, show me the drinks. Like, guys, you need to drink it first and then put it in trash, and only then you can go to the club. And as soon as I started to do this, then I realized after a while the line started to go way faster. In the end, the problem was solved because I had to stop and really create a plan. A very simple plan. And that's a good example, is many times we also react to the new information without thinking about it. And later on, in this case, imagine if I would be until the end of the line and then go back to my colleague and then she said, no, it's still, I don't know, I can be upset, I can get frustrated or everything. So it's important sometimes to stop and realize I need to have a plan, I need to think. On the other hand, we need to understand that if we think too much, we might get into a loop. So not in this situation that I share with you, but in others, we get into a loop. And so we are blocking our thinking process. It does not evolve from there. It's going and going and going. And that's overthinking. So overthinking means that we think about something too much or for too long. This becomes a problem because it might make us more stressed, anxious, nervous, afraid. And so it's important that we become aware that we are in a loop, that we are overthinking about it, and then to force getting out of the loop. I don't know. One example is to do sports. Sports, and it's different sports than going to the gym. Sports is something that really allows us to develop our thinking process because, among many other things, for example, it allows us to create a flow in our thinking process because we need to be focused in the moment. If I'm playing with a team, how should I do? Where should I go? How should actions should I do? So sport is really healthy for our thinking process. I recommend a lot to practice sports on a regular basis. It allows your thinking process to go smoother, to go more in a flow. But also, if you overthink, or if you become in a loop in the process of thinking, go play sports. Go with your friends, go for a swim, go for a run, because you will get out of the loop. Because your mind starts to focus on another thing. That's why it's very important, even at work, sometimes to do a break. The breaks are really important at work because you stop thinking on that, your brain relaxes, get out of that thought, and then comes with more energy. Another tip is, for example, do something that you like, because you will become attached to the other thing and excited about the other thing that you like. If you like to play guitar, for example, go play guitar or play piano or play an instrument or paint, whatever. Or just communicate with someone, talk with someone. That's why, for example, psychologists help a lot us to develop our thinking process. They listen to our problems, and in that sense, we are sharing, vocalizing our thinking process. This, and then the psychologists, they know how to then go with the process better. And this is a good idea. Maybe I will do this for season 2. When I will interview people, I'll share with you some interviews that I did some people. I'll try to look for a psychologist to interview. That's a nice one. But yeah, so there are many things that can be done to get out of the loop. You need to understand which is the best that, of course, goes according to you. Getting out of the loop is also a successful way to develop your thinking process, to continue with it. And despite my podcast being about successful thinking process, there are even situations where the best is not to think at all and just act. especially when we are facing a reality where our lives are in danger. And for example, experience here helps a lot, because experience means we already thought in the past on these situations. But for example, if a car in front of me stops, I need to stop right away. I cannot think, should I stop while I'm going? Should I stop? Should I go around? No, I stop. Another example is if there's an earthquake. If I live in a country where that's not normal at all, first time it happens, maybe, I don't know, I will do what maybe I learn in schools, which is go under a door or under a table. I don't know. I never experienced that, and so I don't know what I would do. But I would just act. Maybe I would think, as I would go under the door, and then I would think, okay, where should I go? Do this. But those people that have experienced that many times, for example, if I'm from Japan, that we have a lot of earthquakes, maybe this kind of earthquake, I don't need to do anything because it's soft. So there's no need. Experience here helps to act, to react, or to think, or not to think at all, like this case. And if it's a dangerous one, because I already know, I already experienced, I know what I have to do. Maybe I need to go right away from the stairs to outside to an open space or not. So experience is really important. So with the episode of today, it was good to understand how can we structure our thinking process. Meaning, how can we create a plan and understand whether I should create a simple plan or a more complex plan. We also talked about overthinking. I gave some suggestions on how to get out of that loop and understand that sometimes we really need to act and not think at all. And these situations, it's really important for you after the process to think about it so that next time when you face the same reality, you already know how to act without thinking because your thoughts were done beforehand. So I hope you liked the content and see you guys on my next episode.